Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have one of our partners, Sandra from Equisys, presenting on improved Zetadocs Delivery, Capture, and Expenses for Business Central. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar, and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And we encourage you to ask questions during our presentation, so please feel free to type them into the questions box, and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. So now I will turn it over to Sandra to kick off our presentation.
That's great. Thanks so much, Angie. Thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar this morning. Appreciate your interest in learning about Zetadocs for Business Central. Today I'm going to review Zetadocs Delivery, Zetadocs Capture, and Zetadocs Expenses updates for Business Central. Our history begins with a foundation of Equisys 30 years ago in London. In 1986, our development team developed Zetafax, fax software. And then later on in 2007, we introduced Zetadocs Document Management for NAV. And this came from conversations with customers and partners who were looking for ways to store documents within NAV records and also to be able to batch send out of NAV. In 2007, we developed Zetadocs Capture and Delivery, and we're one of the first ISVs to receive Microsoft accreditation. Zetadocs is now well established as a widely used document management system around the world for both Business Central and NAV, with over 5,000 companies using it globally. And all of the software that I'm going to talk about today is available in other languages as well as English. We are a gold partner, and we do keep our accreditation with Microsoft current every year. We take that very seriously as one of the lead ISV add-ons for document management. On our agenda today, I'm going to show you how our development team at Equisys has updated Zetadocs Delivery so that users can now easily use word layout to personalize messages in the batch send out of Business Central. And there's also now more functionality to add attachments as a single PDF, which is very exciting for me because we've got a lot of customers that have been asking for that functionality, and I'm glad that we now can deliver that. On the capture side, with Zetadocs Capture, you can store documents in journal and ledger entries, and we call that Zetadocs to Journal. You can also now scan documents into the record with software that saves files based on the record number. And outside of Business Central, of course, we have customizable folder structuring available in the SharePoint Online repository. At the end of the presentation, I will then move into reviewing our current upgrade process and close with information regarding Zetadocs Expenses and the updated features that will soon be available. So let's get started with Zetadocs Delivery. Before I jump into the demo, a couple things you might want to think about as I'm going through the software presentation is the types of reports that would be beneficial to batch send to your customers, whether that's invoices, purchase orders, order confirmations, reminder letters, monthly statements, and shipping documents. Those are the most popular. And you also might want to think about what records in Business Central that your finance and warehouse teams would use the most when accessing supporting documents. You know, when they're looking for documents that you're storing in the Zetadocs fax box, are they looking at sales, purchasing, journals, jobs, production orders, etc.? Those are things to think about when you're looking at reviewing the Zetadocs software. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump out and went right into our Business Central list page here for posted sales invoices. And what I'm going to do is come over here to this Actions area so that I can show you how you can use Zetadocs to batch send. So I'm hitting the Zetadocs area here at the top, and then I'm going to hit send, and that gives me a filter. And in the filter here, I'm just going to indicate that I want to batch send a short range of invoices. Now you can put in a selected range like I'm doing here. You can also choose a range based on posting date, customer. There's many different fields that you can indicate that you want to create your batch send from. In this example, I'm actually putting in a range of invoices that I want to send out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and when I do that, the system is going to pull that report out. So it's going to be working on pulling that report, and while it's doing that, I'm going to jump over to, let's try this one more time. There we go. It's just moving a little bit slow this morning. We're going to do that one more time and see if we can get that to go a little bit faster. And if I have more technical difficulties, we'll just move on, and that's fine. So there's that range. I'm going to hit OK again. There we go. Now we got it to go. And it's going to pull over a what we call a recipient screen. And that's the screen here that shows you, okay, here's all those invoices that I want to send out in a batch all at the same time to my customers. When I do the batch send, all of my customers are going to receive the attached invoices that I've indicated I want to send all in one email. So it's great for the customers, so they get one email with all of the invoices or the attachments in that one email. And it's great for your finance team because they can send everything out all at once. And now everything I'm showing you today can also be scheduled on an automatic scheduler with Zetadocs Delivery Plus. So if you wanted to have this automatically set up so that it's going to just pull those invoices or sales order confirmations, etc., at a certain time of day, it'll do it automatically. One nice thing about setting things up manually, and of course you can do both options depending on what you want to do, is you can go through and review these invoices that you want to send out and make edits and changes to the individual email before it goes out. So to show you an example of that, I'm going to jump down to this line here, and I'm going to indicate that I want to edit this particular email that's going to go out to the School of Fine Art. So I went ahead and checked that box, and then I'm coming up here to the 3 ellipses, and I'm going to hit edit. And once I hit edit, it's going to show me who this email is currently set up in the system to go to. Now we've set up your email addresses, your email contacts and addresses in the customer rules card. And that's set up based on what you're going to send. So this example here, we set up in the customer rules card who all of your customers are going to be receiving the sales invoices and who that contact is that's going to be receiving it. Now, sometimes we want that person, that contact person set up to receive the invoices, but we also want to add more people on copy. So I can always add more email addresses here in either any of these fields, depending on how you want to send. And you can also change the contact email address. Say the customer contact is no longer there, or they moved on and you need to do this quickly and you don't have time to go into the customer rules section, but you know who that new contact is and that email address, you can change the primary email address here and add more emails at any time. So that's a nice new easy function that we have available. You can also do the same functionality, make those changes from the set from if you would like. Also on this screen, we're showing you that we're using the template that we have set up for the messaging that goes out when those delivery batch send is going out for invoices in this example. If you're sending out order confirmations on a regular basis, we would set up a template for order confirmations, the same for statements, reminder letters, etc. So what that looks like is jumping down here to the email preview. You can see, okay, in the template section, we set up the invoice, how we want that to read when we're sending out invoices, and here it is here. If you want to add to that message before it goes out in the batch send, you can do so. You can just jump right into that message and, you know, please send, attach, whatever message you want to send, you just add it right there and it's going to be included. So you can very quickly add a personalized message on top to what's been set up in the template wizard. Another nice function, in addition to be able to add sent to or change sent from email addresses, and also putting in personalized messages into the body of the email, is you can come down here and add more attachments. And you can just quickly hit this manage drop down, hit select attachment, hit choose, and then that's going to take me out to my network where then I would choose what I want to send. So I'm going to go to a folder and I want to send the agreement for this year. So I'll just choose this one here and hit OK. And now that additional attachment is going to be included in the email when it goes out in the batch send. The last thing I wanted to show you with the increased functionality we now have available is this skip button here. Say earlier in the week, your contact at School of Fine Art has asked you to send the invoices that are due. So you already sent it to them. You can hit this skip button and everything else is going to go out in the batch except this series of invoices for the School of Fine Art because you had already sent them. So you can also skip a particular customer from a batch send if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And now here we are back on the screen. The last thing I need to do is hit this Consolidate Email button and hit the Combine Documents button. And by doing that, now all of these invoices are going to go out to your contacts, and each contact is going to receive one email with all the invoices attached. By hitting the Combine Documents, I'm telling it that I would like all the attachments to be in one single PDF. Now, if you don't want them to be in a single PDF, that's fine. Then you wouldn't need to hit the button here. But if you do, just hit the Combine button and then hit OK. Now it's going to send out. So let's take a look at an example of what those look like. I went into my sent items. So you can always go into your sent items to research your batch history, as well as go into the Zetadocs Outbox that's available within the BC record. Here's that email. Let's open it up. And let's go ahead and here we go. Let's try to find another one here. So for School of Fine Art, this is the email that was sent. When I hit the attachment here, it is now showing me that the invoice was attached as well as that reseller agreement that I added on, all in one single PDF. The other nice thing is when I clicked on those attachments just to see how they sent, it showed me what the email looked like that the customer received as far as the body of the email, the messaging of the email, so I know what that looked like. And then by hitting on the attachments, I see that here's the invoice that was included and that additional reseller agreement that I added in. Another example is, let's go up to this trade research. Here's an example of an email that was sent out earlier in a batch send, and here's the invoices. This particular email had several invoices attached, and here they all are in a single PDF. So with Zetadocs Delivery, you can now fully edit the message, the email, before it goes out if you need to do that. You can skip if you already sent it earlier, and you can also attach documents as a single PDF. Those are all new features that are now available. that are not available with Business Central incoming documents. And the last thing I wanted to show in the demo is, oops, the wrong one, is the Outbox. So with the Outbox, it looks like, here we go. We're going to go back up to the action section. Here's Zetadocs. Here's the Outbox. Here's that rules where you would set up the email addresses and the contact names for your contacts. Hitting the Outbox, we can see the activity log. If anything in that batch send that I just sent out didn't send, it would be visible here. So then you can research maybe it was an incorrect email address, so you can always see what didn't send. And then if you come up here to the actions area and you hit activity, you can now see a full log of all of your batches that you sent out. So that is the conclusion of the demo of Zetadocs Delivery and all the different new functionality that we have available now for Business Central. So we're very excited about that. Moving over to the sending, sometimes you get questions about the sending methods themselves. With sending methods, emails have traditionally been sent using SMTP from a single email account in most server-based applications. Zetadocs continues to support SMTP for customers that still want to use it, but customers also have the option of using Microsoft 365 to provide a more secure way to batch send without the need to rely on a single email account. Once Zetadocs has been authorized to send email on the Microsoft 365 user's behalf using a secure token, Zetadocs will send all emails as the current user. If your customer would like the emails to be sent from a shared mailbox, we can create an override rule on a specific message. Any email bounces can be seen directly in Outlook, like I had just shown you in the Sent Items folder, offering a convenient way to resend previous messages directly from the user's sent items, which is great. Oh, I didn't get it. You don't have to redo the whole thing. Just go into your sent items and resend. And this also gives you a permanent record of the actual email sent by Zetadocs. And of course, in the activity log I just showed you, a complete history of all sent batches can be searched. What I've got up here is a screenshot of Zetadocs to Journals. Zetadocs to Journals is a Capture Essential additional functionality product that is designed so that documents can be stored in journal and ledger entries, but not in the individual journal line. We can add the Zetadocs fact box so that you can drag and drop and store documents, payment journals, recurring journals, cash receipts journal, general journal. These are various journals where we've got several customers that want to be able to store supporting documents. So in the example here of the screenshot, under general ledger entries, we've added our Zetadocs fact box where you can drag and drop and store documents there. And of course, clicking on the up arrow, that'll take you out to your network, and you can choose something that's been stored in the network folder and store it here as well. This is a very popular additional feature that many of our Capture users are now installing. It does require a Capture Essentials or a Capture Plus license, and there is an additional services charge. It's a small services charge to add the fact box and the record mapping in your journals and your ledger entries. And just as a quick reminder, you can store on journal lines, you can store in journal entries and ledger entries, but not on the individual journal line. If you like to see an actual demo of it or have any specific questions about the Zetadocs to Journals functionality, I'm more than happy to jump on a quick call and go through it with you. But I did want to let everyone know about our Zetadocs to Journals on the Capture side. And then, of course, on the Capture side, I put up here an example of the Zetadocs library in SharePoint. SharePoint Online is required as the Zetadocs repository outside of Business Central for all of our Capture customers using Business Central extensions. With the Zetadocs library and SharePoint, of course, we can configure and customize the library. This is just an example of some of the folders that are available back there. You can have sales folders for sales documents, purchasing documents, journal documents, reminders. You can have foldering set up by customer name, by date. You can have individual columns created based on what you're sending and how you want to search. So just a quick reminder, with both Zetadocs Capture Essentials and Capture Plus, you do have additional functionality in setting up a Zetadocs library and SharePoint online as your outside repository, which our Capture users really like because they're non-licensed Business Central or non-licensed NAV users can go into SharePoint online, into the Zetadocs library with their security access and see those documents that have been stored. And then lastly, with Zetadocs Capture, in addition to the barcoding functionality, you can now also scan documents into the record with software that saves files based on the record number. We have several customers now that have that type of software, and they can use it to scan into store documents into individual records in addition to or in replace of the barcoding. Moving over to Zetadocs Expenses. With Zetadocs Expenses, we have this solution available to customers so that they can easily create expenses, submit expense reports, approve those reports, and on approval, automatically have those purchase invoices or job or journal routing set up so that when the expense report is approved, the purchase invoice is automatically created within Business Central. There isn't any additional work to do, and all that information carries over to the purchase invoice. And of course, we can route through journals and jobs as well. Some of our customers like that. With Zetadocs Expenses, your team has greater control over your expense management process. There is an easy-to-use app, and with the app, users can quickly take photos of their receipts and upload them directly to the expense. Approvers are notified and then can quickly approve expense reports using the Zetadocs app as well. Okay. So this is an example of some screenshots here of what the app looks like. So customer using Zetadocs Expenses has the app on their phone. They open the app, and this is the screen that they see. They would just hit on this new expense tile and put it in their expense information, and then very quickly and easily create the whole report and send it using their app. In this screenshot here, this is an example of the expense detail. So customer went, or one of your employees went to lunch with one of their bigger customers, Acme. Here's the restaurant where they had the lunch. They used the corporate American Express card to pay for the lunch. The currency is USD dollar. We usually create that default as US dollar for American customers, and the Canadian dollar is CAD for Canadian customers. Here's that amount, and of course that $150.85 that was spent on the lunch with Acme exceeds that particular user's expense limit. So with Zetadocs Expenses, anytime an expense amount is entered, if it exceeded the limit for that particular user, this pop-up is going to show so that your employees are very well aware of what their expense limits are, and that helps you with enforcing your corporate policies as well on expense limits. Other options when filling out expense detail before sending the report for approval, you can put in the GL code. So all of the expense types, in the example here, we have clients. You can have meals, you can have hotel, you can have office supplies, whatever that expenditure is, whatever was spent. The expense type window here there's a drop down. You just put in what that expense type is, and we have that match all the GL codes that you're currently using. And here's some examples of dimension fields. Most of our customers are using dimension fields. You know, you can have it by department, you can have it by project, you can have it by event, so that you're further, you know, allocating that expense to the correct budget. If you wanted to have a customer list geographically, say you had, you know, customer list A, and that lists all your customers on the Northeast Coast. Customer list B has all your customers on the West Coast, and then they would choose the appropriate one in the drop down. There's a lot of different ways that we can work with you to customize dimension fields so that that expense is allocated correctly. Down here is the add receipt. Just click the add receipt, upload your receipt to the expense. And then when that expense report is ready to send, when the user hits that send button, the app is going to show you, okay, here's your list of approvers. Phyllis is going to be approving your expense, and then April is going to be processing your expense. And there's always options throughout the process to put in more notes or comments and then submit. I'm more than happy to show you the full Zetadocs expenses in a demo at any time based on your preference, and can also send videos, pre-recorded videos of the expense demo process. And here's what that expense, that purchase invoice to pay for that non-reimbursable back to the credit card company looks like. So once that expense report was approved, here's what the purchase invoice that was automatically created as soon as it was approved. You can see here all of the line items from the expense report carried over, so there's no rekeying. We can have the purchase invoice created to go directly to the non-reimbursable, and that would be a credit card. You can have the purchase invoice created to go to the reimbursable to David. So maybe David paid for this with his own personal credit card. Mileage expenses are reimbursable back to the employee. So anytime an expense report is approved, the system is going to automatically create purchase invoices for both your non-reimbursable and your reimbursable. Most often employees are going to send one report, including their mileage expenses. Your finance team doesn't have to break anything out. As soon as that report is approved, the purchase invoices are going to be created automatically for both your reimbursable and non-reimbursable. And of course, if you want that to go through job routing or journals, we can do that as well. And that is really the biggest feature with Zetadocs Expenses is the easy integration into Business Central. So as you're looking at options for expense management, please keep in mind that with Zetadocs Expenses, we have this very easy integration just to really help speed up the process for your finance team. So, as far as next steps, we know that each company has its own challenges. And as I've shown, the Zetadocs Capture, Delivery, and Expenses, each system has the flexibility that can meet your requirements. If you would like to explore the functionality of Zetadocs further, I encourage you to reach out to your Innovia account manager, where we can schedule a requirements call or a demo, and they can also send you pre-recorded demos of the functionality for delivery, capture, and expenses. As far as upgrades and what's coming soon, throughout the past year, we have worked with several Zetadocs customers upgrading to Business Central. Each Zetadocs customer's upgrade options are unique. So if you are ready to upgrade, please reach out to myself and also your Innovia account manager to schedule a call with our upgrade team. On the call, we review your requirements, what you currently have set up, any customizations that you currently have. We will review the file size of what you have stored in the Zetadocs archive, or if you're storing in SharePoint on-prem. And then we review the service hours and what's going to be required to upgrade your current system to Business Central. And as far as coming soon, jobs, tasks, and dimensions in Business Central will be synchronized with Zetadocs Expenses so that organizations can more easily manage how they assign travel expenses to projects they are working on. This is something that we've been asked a lot about. We will have that functionality available. As far as credit card reconciliation, we are working on easier matching, as well as direct bank feed and the direct expense receipt OCR read once that expense, right when the expense is incurred at the restaurant, hotel, etc. With regards to per diem, organizations paying daily allowances to staff for business travel will be able to manage and assign those allowance rates using Zetadocs Expenses, which will definitely simplify the submission and approval process. And we've been asked that question quite a bit on breaking out per diem as well, using those dimension fields. With Zetadocs Capture, our production team, our development team is currently working on providing full OCR to extract key data from supplier invoices and create purchase invoices directly within Business Central. We've had many customers asking about it. Our product development team is working on that, so that is coming as well. All exciting upgrades. One thing I did want to mention before I close with regards to the actual upgrade process from NAV to Business Central on-prem or Business Central Cloud is to please allow for at least 8 weeks. Most often our customers, when they're getting ready to upgrade, will give us plenty of advance notice, but we've had a few that just had a lot on their plate, and they got to the Zetadocs and they're like, okay, we need this upgraded, we're going live next week. We understand how that happens, but just wanted to mention that with our current upgrade and implementation schedule, we do need at least 8 weeks out to help you with your upgrade before you need it. And that concludes the presentation that I have today. I put up on the screen both our sales inbox email address as well as my own, and the Zetadocs Resource Center, which is also new. So on Zetadocs.com or Equisys.com, either one that you search will pull up the Equisys website. We do now have a Resource Center. I'm more than happy to send Angie the link after our call today, and she could forward to everyone who's attending. And it provides those pre-recorded videos and information right there on the website so that you can really research your options thoroughly when you're looking at document management or expense management. And with that, I will conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Sandra. We do have a question that came through. How difficult is it to upgrade Business Central Capture Plus and Delivery Plus from NAV 2018 to the latest version of Business Central?
Oh, great question. That is definitely going to require more time, because if you have, with you having Capture Plus and Delivery Plus, there's definitely more customizations that that are required for you to use the functionality that you currently are. I would allow for 12 weeks to really make sure that all of those customizations, can be installed in the extension environment. Britt Mora is our project lead. She's so great to work with. She's done many of these upgrades to Business Central now, so they do go a little quicker. But with Capture Plus and Delivery Plus, rule of thumb, allow 12 weeks so that we have plenty of time to get everything upgraded correctly, including your file migration. That can sometimes take as long, if not longer, depending on how many files you have currently stored. So if you're using the Zetadocs archive to store documents, or if you're using Zetadocs, SharePoint on-prem, it's going to take a while to migrate your files to SharePoint Online. If you are already using SharePoint Online, that's great, because then there's no migration required. But if you're using on-prem or the Zetadocs archive, that requires time as well.
All right. Thank you, Sandra. If anybody has any further questions, please go ahead and get those typed in. Sandra, I just wanted to share, as a Zetadocs expense user myself, it's been super easy and very friendly to use. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, great. Thank you, Angie.
All right. Well, that looks like all the questions that we have for you. If anybody has any further questions, please feel free to reach out to Sandra. Her information's up there on the screen, or you can reach out to your customer engagement representative here at Inovia Consulting, and we would be more than happy to address your questions with you. And I just want to thank Sandra for presenting today, and for everyone on our webinar, or if you're watching on demand, thanks for taking the time out to join us. And also to let you know that we do have new training workshops for you and your team members to attend. Visit our training workshop page at inovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. And more webinars are coming up. Next Thursday, we have one of our partners, VersaPay, presenting on how VersaPay can transform your accounts receivable department. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's inovia.com/events. And don't forget about our Inovia Conversation podcast that our hosts, Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski, have provided to us. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out that selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. And fall is here, so that means conference time for us. Check out our conference page, and that's inovia.com/conferences to learn more about all the conferences we will be attending this fall. Next week, we are attending Dynamics Con virtually. That is a free event for you to attend. So get registered for that if you have not already. We do have some Inovia staff members that will be presenting. And in October, we will be at Community Summit in Houston, Texas, in person. Equisys will be there as well. So if you are attending, please visit our booths. We'd love to have you stop by and talk with our team members. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Inovia webinar. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Angie. Bye. Have a great day, everyone.